Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
And had a wife who was saying, dude, you better earn some money. I got a series of temp jobs. And
Is that right?
That's what I did.
To support your real estate habit?
No, to support, I hadn't affiliated with anyone because I couldn't find anybody that I respected.
I got you. Okay. That's good to have high standards, though. That's a good thing.
I try to have very high standards. That's why I hang out with people like Molly, Sean, and Brian Garrity and Wes Shaw. And now you.
That's a good group.
So the really short version, by sheer dumb luck, I met a woman who was managing a Long and Foster office in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
Largest independently owned real estate company in the mid-Atlantic United States.
Yeah.
It was a new office. She had been with the company for a couple of years. She had wanted an office in the Old Town Alexandria area. They made her manage an office in a crap area for a couple of years. She made them profitable. And she saw something. First of all, it took me a month of pleading to get her to agree to see me.
Wow.
This is a real estate office where, a pulse and a real estate license does not cut it.
Correct.
She was highly ethical. And if she didn't think that, if she couldn't tell the other agents that were there that she knew with certainty that you could succeed, she wasn't going to hire you because she was only hiring people that would succeed. And there was a 24 transaction unit requirement in your first year. Otherwise, you were fired.
Wow.
A level of accountability that's unheard of.
Yeah, here's the standard thing, right? That sounds like the perfect place for you.
For me, it was because I trusted her. I respected her. I knew this was the work I wanted to do. And I didn't care that I was at the lowest commission split in the state of Virginia.
Yeah.
Because it was like getting a Harvard graduate school education in real estate.
Yeah.
All working for a 44% split.
It sounded like you were going to work for a superstar, man.
We remain in touch. It was like, you know what it must have been like? It must have been like those politicians working for Kennedy and Camelot.
Mm-hmm.
It was so utterly innovative and revolutionary and ethical and moral and always wanting to do the right thing. And, if your colleagues didn't do things the right way and you did, they were fired regardless of their productivity because she wanted to be able to recruit agents that were good to great and she could help become better. Yeah. But if she had bad apples, she knew that she wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, she felt this, it sounds like she felt this overwhelming responsibility of the people that worked there. It sounds like she protected them, Yeah,
that's exactly right. You're extremely astute in your observation there. So I had no idea what I was doing, even though I had been trained for 4 months before I was even allowed to talk to a prospective client. I could hand calculate buyers' closing costs, sellers' net sheets using VA or FHA financing or, whatever the programs were.
Right.
And there were all kinds of tricks she'd throw into the questions because it closed the first business day before Christmas. And you'd have to figure out in the mail, was the FHA payoff going to reach the lender on time, and was there going to be another month of interest? And if you blew that, you didn't pass that section of the training.
Wow.
Yeah, it was stunning. And the software that escrow companies use now can't do that. I used to be able to do it by hand.
Wow.
So when I went out and talked to people, I had no competition.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that. I sold 32 units in my first calendar year.
Say it again. You skipped out for a second. Say it again.
Sold 32 units.
Oh, 32. So the
32.
minimum was 24. You sold 32. Good job.
Yeah, because I was scared to death I'd get fired. So
Right.
because there was no other place to go.
Right. How humiliating would that have been for her to show you the door?
Like the door. Like
And you know what? I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you something else. I believe you never wanted to let her down. I believe she earned your loyalty. I do. I see it. I see it.
When I do the work that I do, it is not an uncommon thing for me to still think that I don't want to let her down. I want to create a situation I can write her or call her about and say, guess what I did?
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going around thinking, I did it all myself, right?
Yeah.
Bullshit. So I don't know what I'm allowed to do.
It's true, man. I mean, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. And so it was revolutionary to me. It was just utterly life-changing. I have no idea what would have become of me if I hadn't run into this woman.
So how long were you at Long and Foster's?
I was there for a few years until she moved on to bigger and better things.
Okay.
And I bounced around, divorced, got remarried, spent a few years working for a trade association.
Was that back there or were you out here then?
I was back there.
Okay.
And I knew I could do the real estate, but my wife, the second time I was married, she just wanted me to have a regular job, benefits, that kind of thing. And I just was not I wasn't in a strong place.
Yeah.
I was kind of lost without the leader,
Sounds like it. Yeah.
So eventually everything comes around, right?
Isn't that the truth?
Right. And so after the second marriage ended and I found myself a personal and professional free agent at about the same time, I came back to San Diego, which is where I really wanted to be. And I touched base with Diane. And she said, how would you feel about managing some real estate offices? And I said, Diane, I haven't done a real estate transaction in 6 years. And Right. She said, well, that's not the answer I want. Can you think of another one? And I'd love to do that. She says, great. There is a plane ticket that's waiting for you at the airport, and you leave on a 7:00 flight tomorrow, and you're going to Boston. And I got picked up in Boston, and for 8 months, I worked for an old Carlson GMAC company, General Motors Acceptance Corporation. And their company was implementing Diane's strategies.
Okay.
She was coaching principals and key executives of large national and regional real estate firms. Gotcha. So I already knew how to do this. So it's Diane was a powerful lady.
Yeah.
And a guy who was hired as the CEO of that company after her contract had been signed, came in and he did not like a strong, powerful woman telling him what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, which happened. We all know there's a great deal of sexism in our industry and bigotry and all those terrible things. And so as soon as they informed us that they were not going to be implementing her program, I quit.
Wow.
It wasn't in my financial interest. We did well. Yeah. I did well for them while I was there, but they had made me certain financial promises, and I wasn't able to take advantage of those because I wasn't going to work for someone who wasn't on board.
Yeah.
Diane was able to get me back to San Diego with another one of her clients.
Wow.
Here's where the story gets interesting.
Okay.
While still in Virginia in the year 2000, at age 40, I had a heart attack. Nearly killed me.
Oh my gosh.
Left anterior descending, and it's miraculous I survived, but I did with very little heart damage. And, most people get, they do angiograms and angioplasties and occasional stents, and everything works out well. In my body is that small part of the bell curve where when you put a stent in, your body grows all kinds of excessive scar tissue and clogs it back up again.
Oh no.
angioplasties don't work. So from the time of the heart attack until 2006, which is when I'm back in San Diego, I was managing Millen at the time.
Uh-huh.
I was on and off the operating table a few times a year. And in aggregate, it just annihilates you. It wipes you out.
Yeah.
There were probably 3 or 4 exit points that I should not have survived, but I did. Eventually, my cardiologist, who had taken care of family members before and I loved and respected, and he was a great diagnostician, he said, Bruce, Bonnie, you need to go home and make plans. There's nothing else I know what to do, that I know what to do for you. And so we rented a house in St. Francis Court because I thought it would be a good place to die.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And over the course of a year or so, to everybody's surprise, I didn't die. And when I decided to get back into the business rather than manage, I decided I've got to be able to control my time so I can take care of my physical health, my mental health. I'm not going to take a paycheck from someone and be owned or leased by them.
Right.
Yeah. So I just joined the largest, closest office that I could get to without going on a major road, which was the old Prudential California Realty office on Via de la Valle.
Yeah.
And I went out, and I wasn't in my best shape, but I did 19 units in my first year.
Oh, good for you.
That was a wealthy area. And so the average transaction in whatever that year was probably like, $1.4 million, $1.5 million, which is now,
somewhere in the neighborhood. Yeah.
that's how the average house is now in Claremont practically.
Right. Yeah. Times change.
Yeah. My average sales price was somewhere like around 40. No, not even that, about 30% of that.
Wow.
But I did units. I've always been a units driven person.
Yeah.
I follow hearts and minds, and when we're well aligned, I go to the wall for them.
Yeah.
Diane, the mentor, taught me a simple method of how to alienate difficult, troublesome people quickly. Everything she really taught me was about developing the habit of every day, almost without thought, creating micro efficiencies that are barely perceptible, and you may not even realize you're doing it. And each by themselves is pointless, but built up in aggregate over a long period of time, they become immensely powerful. And now I'm that person with with 10 million micro efficiencies working for me.
That's cool, man. So what happened with your health? So you were diagnosed and you were supposed to expire, and that was what, 17 years ago?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
My wife and I decided that we were going to search high and wide across the world and find the best healthcare that we could find. And we didn't know if we were going to go metaphysical and find John of God in the forests of Brazil, or go to Europe or wherever. And we didn't want to make a lot of noise within our circle of friends, because that's distracting. We talked to 2 people. I'm not going to get into who they are, but one of them knew one of their children was married to someone in one of San Diego's most well-known philanthropic families.
Okay.
So they asked that someone in that family for the favor of trying to get me in to see a guy at Scripps who's extremely well-known. I'm not going to mention the name. And it usually takes 8 months to get an appointment. I had an appointment at 10 a.m. the next day.
Wow.
Somehow they had a copy of all of my medical records going back to my heart attack. So it's something they can do if they want to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. If you know the right people.
Right. So he introduced me to Dr. Mimi Guarneri, who's an integrative cardiologist. She now practices in private in La Jolla.
Okay.
And integrative, holistic, they both mean the same thing. They do surgery, they do pharmacology, they do support groups, they do tertiary prayer, they do yoga and stress reduction techniques.
Yeah.
They do anything for which there is hard or, what's the word? Tertiary evidence.
Yeah. So kind of an all-inclusive approach.
Yeah, that's something that whatever may work, they go at it. And she said to me, I won't use her language. She's quite a pistol from the streets of Queens. Really, I mean, really a pistol, like a big, fat, powerful pistol. She said, I can help you, but you're going to have to do it. I tell you to do it. We have to keep you off the operating table because you're physically and emotionally traumatized. And she not diagnosed, but she prescribed a treatment for me. It's a mechanical treatment called enhanced external counterpulsation. Imagine this: an hour a day, 5 days a week for 7 weeks. You lay on a gurney. So you're an outpatient. You go there every day. They hook up a EKG to your chest, and they hook up these very large, heavy blood pressure cuff-like devices to your legs, thigh, and rear end, and counter your heartbeat while you're lying there. It squeezes. And with your heartbeat, it relaxes. And it has the effect of forcing blood from your lower body into your thoracic area, the way vigorous exercise would do if you could do it. And over the 7 weeks, it helps grow what are at first microscopic blood vessels that provide an alternate route for blood to get to your heart. And they continue growing even after the treatment, and they make the blockages that you have in your coronary arteries less relevant. So I went from being able to walk 2 city blocks and then collapsing to being able to walk 5 miles on the beach on sand.
Wow.
No other intervention. And until March of this year, you did the math right. You said 17. It gave me 17 years of efficacy with no need for any intervention. At 9 years, they did a angiogram, but only to get a clean set of films.
Yeah.
And then
wow. That's fascinating.
It's wild. This is an FDA approved procedure. No one's ever died from it. It's so safe that it is something that it is prescribed for people in an ER setting in the midst of a heart attack. But most doctors don't know about it. Most cardiologists don't know about it, and it doesn't make anybody any money. So
never heard of it. I've literally never heard of it.
Even most cardiologists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to have one in March of this year, and they found some problems, and they tried to treat them in the most cautious way rather than going in with too much. And then I had another one in June. Things had gotten worse. So it struck my doctors, and it struck me that I was back into the same situation I'd been previously. So just about a couple of weeks ago, I finished up a 7-week round of the enhanced external counterpulsation. But I wasn't collapsing before, so we have to wait and see if I feel chest pain or worse. It's kind of a funny way to live because, here I am.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.